Evening, Amanda. Just wait for the big fella himself to jump on. Hello, hello. Just waiting for old mate Lucas to jump on. We'll get humming. Hello. How are we all this evening? As you can see, I'm nice and comfy here in the front passenger seat of my car. Here he is. Just wait for him to come up. Here he is.
Hi, mate.
Hello, brother.
I'm fabulous, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Mate, I'm pumped to have you. And firstly, thanks so much for taking the time. I think the kids have probably just gone to bed, and yeah,
just gone to bed minutes ago. Yeah.
Oh, mate, good timing. Well, mate, firstly, thanks so much for taking the time. Like, I know with a flat out life and business and kids, and now's probably a Sunday chill time, so I really, really appreciate it. So we'll keep it sharp and quick for you tonight if we can.
Mate, I'm here for whatever you need. So,
I love it. I love it as always. As you can see, I'm actually up the coast, so I've actually had to drive up the road to get good range, and I'm sitting in the front seat of the car with the heater on, so it's a little bit awkward, but great.
Good stuff. Just do what you need to get it done. Authentic.
That's right, mate. So obviously, what these chats are about with Momentum is, us as blokes and as guys, a part of Momentum, we're always trying to, and one of our taglines is about, being better, however that may look to anyone. And a fundamental of that is to have, other guys around you who are always championing and challenging you to be better. Because I know for a fact, like personally, and Dills and Blake also, there are a lot of times when, we thought we were nailing it and thought we had our shit together. And it took a mate to go, who'd always champion us to go, hey, and challenge us to go, hey, dude, like, maybe you're not nailing it, or maybe you could look at this, or, have someone to bounce off of. And it's really, really important. And obviously, I know that for a long time, there was a level of ego around how I carried myself, and I felt like I had to have my shit sorted and know what was going on and have all the answers. And we're really trying to push the point that, we don't. No one does. And the best we can do is learn from each other, right? So that's definitely where you come into play, big fella.
Yeah, look, I can definitely share you with what I've learned along the times. I've far from got all the answers, but I've never been happy of where I am at too, as well. So that's, I guess that's the sweet spot of being happy where you are, but still driven enough to want to push forward as well. So.
Yeah. Well, mate, that's huge. We've done a lot of research into guys currently, and there's a lot of one of the main areas that they're struggling to find that sort of that balance and fulfillment in their lives with, the business and the relationship and the family and the health and all the rest. And, and obviously that's why I got you on, because, I mentioned it, earlier, but out of all the blokes that I've met, obviously you started off as, sort of the rugby guy, you started, working in the fitness industry, developed a couple of businesses, and, you now run, Floy, which has more of a holistic approach. And from having conversations with you, not only are you a fucking savvy businessman, but you're also and a switched on bloke, and you're a lad's lad. You love throwing around tin. You also have that emotional intelligence piece, and you're extremely generous and that sort of thing as well. And the way you balance that with your family life, something that I really respect. That's why we wanted to have you on and have that bit of a chat with you, mate.
Yeah. Look, where do you want me to start? I can talk about all of that.
I know you could. So, firstly, I'd love to get the idea of what's changed? So obviously you've now got this business of Floy, and I'd love you to explain the concept of flow and the holistic approach what that stands for. But I'd love to start off with maybe how that's changed. So, back when you were maybe in the rugby days or prior, what was your idea of like training and performance and looking after yourself, and how has that evolved to now, and maybe that's manifesting into how flow looks?
So I played rugby league kind of semi-professionally, I guess professionally in the late 90s, early 2000s. Seems like such a long time ago now, doesn't feel like it. And yeah, look, there was, the recovery side of things wasn't really a thing there so much. It was just more about, we'd do sand hills and weights and sprints and all things like that. So the recovery side of training it wasn't in the vernacular back then. So I guess that's what's changed. And, I was like a front row, second row, so I was quite small for that, but I was fit. So yeah, I just always tried to outwork everyone else I played with and against. And I guess, and then that rolled in straight into, I guess, I felt like I always had something to prove, but it wasn't to anyone else. It was just to myself to see what I was capable of, So when I finished playing rugby league, I got into marathon running. Why did I start marathon running? Just because I thought that'd be really hard and would really test me out. So between, 2007, I ran my first marathon, the Gold Coast Marathon, and, 2018, I ran 40 marathons in 11 years. And that wasn't, no one was telling me to do that. I wasn't getting coached. That was because I felt that I could do it. I think my mother passed in 2006, so I kind of, not that I wanted to hurt myself, but I just wanted to see what's in there,
Right. So was that in terms of wanting to hurt yourself, was that as in you wanted to sort of like really test yourself, or was there a level of anger towards yourself, or what was that?
No, well, I guess I found the running quite therapeutic, almost meditative, so the long runs, like, so, because I didn't want to use that kind of sadness or frustration of her death. Didn't want to go on benders. I didn't want to, because I knew that'd be counterproductive. But what could I do that would also be pushing me forward, but would also be taking me to a different place? So that was another way of taking myself to a different place, I guess.
Yeah. Well, mate, impressive that even there, I guess you had the awareness to sort of not go down what often people would, is in the booze and that kind of style direction. Have you always been pretty, like you mentioned before, that you were always competing against yourself? Has that always been a big thing for you, like competing against yourself as opposed to versus others?
Yeah. So I'm, and I'm going to talk about it more later. I guess we'll talk about family stuff. I'm the fifth of six kids. Right. So both my parents worked full time. So look, you look back at now, and I definitely didn't go without anything, but I'd wear hand-me-downs were at the time that were perfect, whereas Ollie at 3 years old has got 5 pairs of Jordans, I'd have, Dunlop Cake 26s that had been my 2 older brothers before, and would be happy as Larry with them, so it was just a different time, I guess. So, you just wanted to compete with me, I guess, and just want to find out how good I could be.
Yeah. And what did sort of back then, self-care look like for you? What was your, right at the beginning phase, what was your, like, mentally and physically, what did that really look like?
Well, I've always been pretty big into personal development. So, like, always read from when I was 20 years old. Always loved reading, always went to courses, always went to, Tony Robbins, DeMartini, all guys like that, because I felt, I didn't come from a lot. I didn't go to a fancy school, and if I wanted to make something of my life, I was going to have to do that myself, you know. So and it wasn't going to be through a formal education as such. I did 2 years at Loftus TAFE. That was about it as far as my education went, and yeah, but I still wanted to be a success. Now, what does success mean? I just want to be able to live life on my terms. I want to be able to look after my family, be able to take my kids to what schools they want to, and do things like that. Just to have more options, I guess, than I had growing up.
Yeah, and it seems like, you know, you've been able to cultivate that for yourself and your family with Floy, which is, you know, probably the best gym I've ever been to. When I was in Sydney, it was amazing. And then one of the standouts for me with the approach there was, you know, there was you, the sort of, you know, rugby dude there, but it was a very holistic approach.
Sure.
You know, and so can you maybe give us a little insight as to sort of the whole approach?
Yeah, sure.
And what that means, as opposed to
so 2010, I was training for an ultra marathon. I was living at North Bondi at the time, and I started doing yoga just because I was getting a bit sore. There's not too many, you know, 100-kilo ultra marathon runners around. So, and I started doing yoga at the local centre there, Dharmashala there on Ben Buckler Point. And the yoga teacher there was just phenomenal. They'd have to shut the doors and kick people out because too many people wanted to join in. That was Kate Kendall, and I became good mates with her, and I started doing private yoga sessions with her again because I started yoga and I wanted to be really good at that. I wanted to be really good at whatever I did. And then Kate started doing PT with me, and she found that the PT really helped her yoga. I found the yoga really helped my training and running. And then we thought, I mean, at the time I owned 3 smaller gyms. We thought there may be something in there in a facility that combined the yoga, strength and fitness. And at that time, 2011, the boutique fitness market didn't exist internationally as what it did today. You know, you forget, you think now you can throw a rock and hit 5 gyms in any suburb, but it just wasn't like that back then. So we had the dream of a space that combined yoga, strength and fitness, and was a bit more of a community place, but also had that kind of luxury boutique feel as well. So that's where Flow was born. 2011 when we came up with the idea, and didn't open the doors till 2013.
Right. There's a bit of due diligence and patience with that one as well.
Yeah, and just finding the right site and things like that as well. Like that could be a big challenge as well if you spend a couple of $1 million and you go in the wrong space as well. But yeah, we're pretty happy. Look, the good thing about Flow, and I think like Joey, you know, you've been there and you've been a part of our community, that it's authentic. You know, you don't walk in there and go, this is just a place that exists just to make money or whatever. It's never been about that for us. It's about how can we serve our community? How can we give our team fulfilling employment? And then how does it make money? Not the other way around, you know?
And by the sounds of it, going into a business venture, you know, with obviously money is important because that's part of running a business, but with the fundamentals around, you know, being of service to the community and of your staff has, in the end, fed back to you in high levels of fulfillment the way you run your business, right?
Yeah. So we opened Flow. I sold my 3 smaller gyms, plus I put every cent I owned from that. So that was every dollar I'd earned plus the sale of 3 gyms into this venture. So, you know, close to $2 million I put of myself in. Outside of that, I had 0. That was it. So that was every chip I put on the table. So yeah, there was a few sleepless nights, but I had got there in my fitness career from just caring about people more so than money, and I wasn't going to change tack just because, you know, that was the thing I was doing. And also at that stage I was single. I wasn't going to say young man, it's only 7 years ago, 7.5, but if it all went to shit, I'd go move to my dad's house, you know, sleep on his couch and
Yep.
push trolleys for a few years and get back on my feet. Look,
Yep.
it didn't mean that much to me that I didn't care about failure that much, that if it was to happen, it wouldn't destroy me, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's a pretty awesome mindset to have going into it, and so obviously now you've got this business that's pumping, and the family and the wife and everything, and still, are
Sure.
you done doing marathons, mate? You're going to get back on again? Who knows? Keep...
I was meant to be doing New York
yeah,
2020 that was to run with Big Sam Young, good
yeah,
chef friend of mine, but I don't know. Every year the body gets a bit older and a bit creakier, so we will see. I might have one left in me, but I don't think I'm going to New York anytime soon. I don't
no,
think anyone is. So yeah,
wouldn't have thought so. And so, in terms of like self care for you now,
yeah,
what does that look like with how you look after the mind, how you look after the body? What
yeah,
does that look like now to keep you sharp and
yeah.
balance your full on life?
I still like read
Yep.
more, probably now more than ever.
Wow.
But it's not as if I don't set rules around it that you need to read 20 minutes a day or blah, blah. I just love doing it. You know,
Right.
if I go to bed, if I go to sleep and I haven't read, it just feels a bit off. So I love reading biographies. I love reading business books, but I can't read fiction. I can't read Harry Potter
Yeah.
or anything like that. But I just love reading that, and I sleep. I value sleep more than I ever have in my life. Like in my 20s, when I was a personal trainer, I could go to bed at midnight. I could get up at 4:30, and I could do a 12-hour day PT and love it and
Yeah.
not miss a beat. Now, if I get less than 6 hours, which I could live on 6 hours for years
Mm.
and not have an issue and still train and still play footy and still, now if I get less than 7, it hurts me. So I value sleep more than ever. So I think that's and just in my training as well. Look, I still try to train almost every day, but it's not until failure. It's not until vomit. It's not
Yeah.
until whatever. It's more for the mental benefits
Yeah.
for me. Than I've pretty much looked the same way for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So
You hold
that
well.
doesn't faze me. And, fortunately my wife loves me however that is that I look. But exercise for me is 100% about my mental health, so I don't have to go on a 20K run. I might go on a 45-minute walk
Yeah.
with the dog, listening to an audio book. And that's still good for me. Just get out there in the fresh air and move my body.
Yeah. Mate, it's a good point. It's something that I've struggled with is always being pretty competitive and wanting to go work out is to not always be pushing yourself. It's okay
Yeah.
just to get out there and do something. It's okay to be doing something that isn't to failure or to vomiting or to whatever it
Yeah.
might be to keep the body moving, right? Would you call yourself pretty structured in your routine, or is it just like you fit in what you can when you can, or
It's a challenge now with, like post-COVID. Well, I guess we're not post-COVID. We're during COVID, aren't we? But back in the gym now, I'm still pulling some serious hours at work, and I really value the time with Talitha and the kids. So I still probably get in, 4 or 5 weight sessions a week. Sometimes if I do no training, and
yeah,
maybe 3, 4 cardio sessions a week, but it's just when I can, as opposed to before. It used to be the training gets put in the diary first,
yeah,
and the rest of my life fits around
put
it.
around it?
Now, unfortunately, it's the family and the work goes first, and then I train when I can, where I can, so.
Yeah,
And even before, where I wouldn't consider it training, I've got a kettlebell and a weight vest out in the backyard. I'll just do 20 minutes of swings and squats and that in the backyard. Whereas
yeah,
I'd consider that a bullshit session back in the day.
yeah,
Now, I take what I can get, so
yeah.
yeah.
Doesn't have to be perfect just to get something done, right?
Get something done.
Mm. And now
And
shifting into the the current landscape of being, a bloke in this world, right?
mm,
And, this is obviously something that we chat about a lot internally with the guys. And what's your view on where it currently sits in terms of what it means to be a man? As in, do you see it as a healthy stereotype now? Is it shifting? You know, because I know, you know, with a lot of the negative stereotypes around that being the bloke has to push through and always have your shit together and whatever, and now it's sort of evolving to maybe it's okay to be vulnerable and not have your shit together and blah blah. How do you kind of see it from your end?
Look, I think it's a good time in history, you know, to be a man as such, because you can just be who you are. I think it's such a different time for when my father, who had 6 kids, he did not change one nappy. You know, like compared to now, look, I wouldn't go a day without changing 3 or 4, and that's exactly how it should be. So, you know, the old archetypes of husband and wife, and husband earns money, wife looks after family, things like that, I don't think is the case really. And well, it's not that it's not the case, but it doesn't have to be. I don't think you should say this is what happens or what isn't what happens. It's what's right for you. And what's right for Talitha and I is that we're both equals, and we're both trying to raise a family, and we're both trying to run a household, and we're both trying to earn a living, and we're in this together, and we both do what we can when we can and help the other person out to do that as well, you know? So, yeah, that's what I think what a man in 2020 is. It's just about working with your partner to just achieve that common goal. And for us, it's family first. You know, I got a kind of hierarchy. It's my family, then it's my team at work, and then it's my community. I really value, you know, the Paddington community. I really value the Australian fitness community. I really want to contribute to making people's lives better than ever, but I can't do that if I'm not looking after my family. My family is my most important things, because if I'm at work and my family life isn't good, I'm not present at work. You know, so it's more important for me to make sure my home life is rock solid, so then I can bring my best self to work.
Right, 100%. That's and in terms of that, you know, I'm sure there are maybe periods that you've gone through throughout your life where you may have been like, oh, I'm not nailing it, or not got not got things totally in line. And a big fundamental that we're all about as well in terms of that, around being vulnerable and sharing the fact that maybe we weren't always nailing it. Can you? Is there anything that stands out to you as maybe something that you struggled with in the past, whether it was through with balancing family work, whether it was back in the day, or something you've seen as like, that's something I wasn't nailing, I was battling with, and I've managed to sort of work through it?
I think my biggest issue in work or relationships in your past was just ego. You know, that I thought I couldn't be told, or, you know, that I was the man, or that there was always a better girl out there, better opportunity out there. I deserve better, or I am better. Me, you know. So I think that's probably my biggest learning, but also my biggest growth and biggest happiness too, is that my life now is not about me. You know, my life's about my family. My life's about my community. My life's about my team at work. And I've never been happy before. You know, I was a 30-year-old personal trainer that had, you know, 6 fucking Prada suits in the wardrobe. Who needs that? You don't. You know, it was just an absolute wank fest and ego, you know. And the more you realise life's about others and not yourself, the happier that I've been and the happier I am.
That's actually a huge point. I know that one of the biggest things we're noticing, and ego is often something you don't actually necessarily realize. It's often blind ego, right? Because you're in it, and it takes something to change or to shift to finally start having things, you know, a click, and that point there around, you know, we're doing a lot of research with, you know, chatting to men, and we're reading a lot as well, you know, around what actually makes for fulfillment and happiness. And none of it is, they've done some research that, you know, going out and doing things for yourself don't actually make you happy. Others do.
For sure.
And obviously there's your, you know, first-hand example of, you know, what that looks like. And so, you know, that that evolution from being, you know, someone quite driven by ego to someone who sort of developed level of awareness. What changed? Was it, you know, did someone call you out, or was it, you know, I know you meditate, was there a level of awareness that evolved over time, or how did that play out?
I think it's just, I think meditation's part of it. It's just personal growth and reflection. You know, I've said Flow will be like my sixth business, you know, and I've obviously had other girlfriends and that through before Talitha, and you look back at past management that you've done in the years and past partners you've had and why those things may not have worked out and what part you played in them. And I think the failings a lot of the time have been ego, you know. So and just realizing what makes you happy, and it's definitely what the things that you can do for other people. It's nothing that you can do for yourself, you know.
Well, it sounds like it's been quite a, you know, serious amount of self-reflection, introspection, like having those conversations with yourself or thoughts of, okay, you know, what have I done here? How could I have changed? How could I have learned? Which is huge. It took me, I know, years it took me a mate to sort of pretty much smack me around and go, dude, pull your head in, till I finally got sort of ego slightly under control. That's how it was for me. It took me to that point.
And I think, you know, one of your bits was like looking to who I aspire to or who mentors or things like that, and what are they doing. And it's not necessarily the people with the biggest house or the nicest car or anything like that, which it may have been when I was younger, but it's about the people that are giving back to the community, the people that have got the best relationship with their kids, with their wife. You know, those are the things that I aspire to, as people that you can have success but be a great family man as well. You can still have mates as well. You can still be in good shape as well. One thing doesn't have to be in the sacrifice of everything else, you know, but can you still be a good human whilst you pursue those other things and achieve in those other areas?
I think you're doing it right on that front, mate. And, you know, is there anyone, if there's a note of this, we can shift to characteristics. Are there any people currently, you know, men out there that you look up to and go, yeah, he's, you know, like you're, you know, an example of that to me, right? You know, are there guys around that you kind of look at, or is there one that you go, oh, this is a kind of, you know, example of someone I look up to, you know, how they carry themselves?
So one of my good mates that I went to school with, and I'm still very good friends with now, his name's Mark Kaplan. In the movie Jerry Maguire, you know, they call it the Kwan, you know, that people that have it all, that have, you know, success, that have fitness, that have good relationships, and that's what we always kind of said was the holy grail, was that the Kwan, you know, that it wasn't necessarily the most money or, you know, they were the leanest and they were ever, but the ability to be able to have a level of all of those things at the one time. So that's what we aim for. It's not necessarily to be off the scale in any one area, but how do you have balance between business success, good relationship with your wife, good relationship with your kids, being able to maintain your physique themselves. Like, we didn't want to set limiting factors that say that, well, you know, if business is going good, that means that you can't be good and going good at home. Or if you are going good at home, you mustn't be able to train because you can't fit time in. Well, why not? You know, look, I know we don't want to put pressure on yourselves to have to do everything, but I don't want to set limits on what you can do either. You know, so my unfortunately, I've got a mentor in my life, Steve Sargent, that I've known for 20 years. He was the ex CEO of General Electric Australasia, worked for Jack Welch in New York, like during the GFC, things like that. And he's just a very good human. Like, he's had, you know, one of the most successful men in business I've ever known, but it's just such a good, humble, value-driven character, you know. So that's what I think more than anything. Yes, he's had success, but he's got great relationship with his wife, great relationship with his kids. He's a good human too, and would be there for me anytime I need him. Would drop everything to take a call or anything like that. So yeah.
Well, I find that interesting point. It wasn't long ago I read someone relay information to me. It was around the buckets of your life. It was like, you've got your career bucket, you've got your, I think relationship bucket, and then maybe your friends bucket. And the concept was that you can't be nailing all of them. You've got to give,
Yeah.
which is interesting because I don't know the answer. And I was like, okay, it almost gave me an excuse in a weird way to be like, look, right now I'm focusing on my business and,
Yeah.
my network. So sorry, family. That's why you're in the
Yeah.
background. And which is, it can be a cop out in a way, isn't it? And you sort of, what you've just highlighted then is that, well, maybe not. There's ways you can actually do it all.
Look, I don't think you should beat yourself up either way. Look, again, we spoke about before how, I kind of like Tony Robbins or DeMartini or, many of the modern day ones as well. But I don't think you should follow anyone's words to the letter. I think you need to build your own philosophy out of what you've learned. And for my life, I feel like I want to have an even balance across the board.
Yep.
I don't need to be 3% body fat. I don't need to have a 10-figure salary. But you know what? I want to also earn a good living whilst being healthy and having a great relationship with my wife and kids, because I really value all of those things, and I value those things at the same time.
Yep, mate. I love that. And in terms of, you touched on with your mentor, was it Steve Sargent? Yes,
Steve Sargent, yeah.
Yeah. And you sort of mentioned there, I think, humility, something
Yeah.
around community. So when you look at like characteristics,
Yeah.
what are some of the most important characteristics that you see then? Like in him, it was like, why do you have him up there? It's humility. Like, what if you to pick a top, 3 to 5? We've done a lot of work into things like it's around integrity and authenticity, and what are the fundamentals for you?
Look, I think like hard workers, that like resilience, humility. I think like people that are caring and give back. I think that's probably one of my biggest values now, more than ever. It's not that I have plenty, but you know what? In the scheme of things, I have more than most people on the planet. So I think it's my absolute duty to give back to others. So I think service is one of the big ones as well. And personal growth as well. I think Steve, that for everything he's achieved in his whole life, and he'll text me, "Hey Benny, I'm reading this good book about blah blah," and I'm like, "Fuck!" Like seriously, you've achieved so much, yet you're still reading books on how you can get better as well. Like if you can get better, like it means everyone else on the planet can as well.
I like that. I think once someone said to me something along the lines of, live like an artist, to always be creating and never quite satisfied, always creating and trying to up level and create a new masterpiece. And, that's a brilliant way of looking at it. Not to be complacent, I suppose, and not to get too ahead of yourself to think that you've got it sorted no matter where you're at.
And I guess, well, in business and everything, like the world's constantly evolving. I guess that's one thing. Look, obviously tech has evolved considerably as well, but Steve says that business leadership and management has changed considerably over the years as well, where it used to be so much top down, you listen to me, you do this, or you can beat it. Now, because of social media and everyone's got a voice, like leadership's a lot more flat and a lot more collaborative, because if you tell the first year student to go fuck themselves, well, they're going to post it on Twitter and the CEO can get fired, as rightly they should be able to too. So it's different times.
Yeah, it has. And shifting over for the last little bit now, we've obviously talked through, your fitness and your performance and your business, and now the big kicker, which is obviously where which is your number one, is around,
Yeah,
you know, balancing being a husband and a father, and
sure.
obviously balancing that with being a business owner. So, you know, what's been the biggest sort of challenge that for you when it comes to managing being a father and a husband and a businessman?
Yeah. Look, I guess because I have such high standards of myself, it's just trying to look. I know if I try hard enough, I can have a good day at work or a good day at in the gym. But if I come home, if Ollie's in a bad mood or Riley's teething or something like that, it's like, fuck, I'm trying really hard, but this isn't working out the way I wanted about something I really care to. So I guess that's been the biggest learning for me with family and kids is just patience, you know, and just being there for them. And you might not necessarily be able to make it right or fix things or be able to do things, but just being there for them is going to help be the difference. So, yeah, no, being a father is the best thing in my life 1,000 times over. Being, you know, Talitha's husband is the best thing that ever happened to my life, you know, having such an amazing wife. So, and that's why I feel like I really want to help provide a good life for them that gives them lots of options to, you know, I don't, whereas, you know, I was on the footy field at 4 years old with the footy, you know, I don't care what Ollie does or Riley does with their lives. I just want to help provide them with the tools and options that they can, you know, be the best at whatever they choose to be in their lives, you know. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where it's changed over now. At 41, the most important thing I can do with my life is help them to be able to live their best lives. You know,
Right.
that's my number one focus. It isn't for what I can do now because, you know, it's about how can I help my wife and children live their best lives through what I do.
And how does that look? Because that sounds, you know, the big. I mean, obviously, I don't have a family yet, and that'll probably happen one
Sure.
day. And you know, I think that sounds like an amazing way of, you know, one of the things we've really picked up on the fact that a lot of guys feel they need to always be like fixing or directing or,
Mm.
you know, pushing a certain way. And you sound
Yeah.
more like yeah, look, I'm more like in a supportive role, I suppose. How does that look?
Yeah. Look, I mean, obviously, I need to work hard to be able to provide the ability to be able to fund any options that they might want to do. But I think it's just time with them and help them to get a feel for what is it that they want to do. Do they want to be an artist? Do they want to be a musician? Do they want to play sport? Do they want to do whatever, you know?
Yep.
But it's be patient with them, help them learn. I'm reading some really good books on Stoicism at the moment,
Ah,
you know,
yeah, how good.
and and I think it's helping them to go through is to not fix things for them, you
Yep.
know, to have them, you know, and in a lot of ways that they were my biggest learnings from rugby league, you know, is the physical battering that I took, but it helped me learn
Yep.
because, you know, we were. I like that combat, you
Yep.
know, but Ollie and Riley's combat might not be physical, it might be mental, it might be with books, it might be whatever, but they need that confrontation of some description to help them learn and grow, you know, and me doing everything for them isn't going to provide them with that growth, and I'll be taking that away from them if I do that for them, you know. So I need to help them by providing them with the challenges that they can overcome and help them lead to their path.
That's huge. So no kids in a bubble for you.
No, no. Look, we're always learning and growing, but that's one of my big things is that I can't do it for them. I can't provide the hunger, the desire for them, you know. So I want to help point them in the right directions and help them take on the challenges themselves.
Yeah. Well, that's another big one is, you know, a role that often us as men feel we have to take is almost the protector, you know, the
Yeah.
savior, the protector, and, you know, to have that ability to sort of go, okay, well, part of that process of growing up and building resilience is to experience a bit of challenge yourself growing up. What was I love Stoicism. What's your,
Mm.
have you got a name off the top of your head of the top book, if you'd say, for Stoicism? If you don't have it, don't worry.
I think like The Obstacle is the Way is obviously a very good one.
Yeah.
I'm reading a book that's called like Stoic Challenges. Yeah, no, I just love the whole philosophy, you know.
Right.
And that's obviously very hard for a parent to let go, you know, because it's going to be hard for them. But if you don't let them go through that, they're not going to get the growth. So
Yeah. I think I just saw you, mate. Mr. Sargent just jumped on.
yeah.
Steve, you've been given a big shout out, mate. Don't worry about that. And we've got last couple of minutes. So the last piece of that. So how long have you and Talitha been together for now?
So Talitha and I, it's funny, and it's, you know, I think you ask a bit about relationships a bit later. We both have very bad memories. So if it wasn't for Facebook memories, you wouldn't know how many years we've been married for. But I'm pretty sure it's 7 this October, and we were married within 12 months of knowing each other. So
Right.
yeah, we eloped to New York, 2013.
Solid. And in terms of, you know, a long, you know, long-term and constructive and ever-growing and connected relationship, you know, what are some of the fundamentals for you that have helped that to be what it is? Or what are the things you're like, this is what we have to do to keep that growth?
So look, a couple of things. One thing, obviously, communication is just big thing. And then the other thing, look, I think the best, not metaphor, but thing I've heard about relationship, then it's a combination of support and challenge, you know, and Talitha is incredibly loving and supportive, but she'll also call me out of my bullshit as well, which is amazing too. And I think we both do that for each other, is that we both support each other to the end, but also love them enough to call them out on when they need to pull their head out of their ass too, which is, it's mainly me most of the time, but yeah.
And you've had to cop that is another bit.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so sort of the last couple of minutes before we let you get back to your eve, mate, sort of try to wrap it up. What if there was one thing that you'd sort of wish you'd read or learnt earlier? You know, if you look back, if only I'd picked up this book, or you know, done this or taken this action, you know, what would that be?
You know, look, I kind of read this question before, and I wanted to have a good answer for you, but I wouldn't have changed any step of the journey, because it brought me to where I am now, and I've never been happier now. But I guess the biggest shift for me, which I learned along the way, and someone couldn't have handed me a book and said, read this at the time, because I think you've got to learn it, is that your life's so much happier when it's about other people and not about yourself. You know, so when I was in my 20s or 30s, it was all about me, and it just doesn't end more. Where does it end? You get more suits, you get a bigger car, you get a nicer place, whatever. Me. But now, when it's about my family, when it's about my community, when it's about my team, life's so much better. You know, so that's my biggest learning and my biggest shift over the years. But if someone had given me a book or a quote or something in my 20s, I would have told them to go shove it, you know. So I just think you really had to live it and experience it to get to where I am today, you know, to realize that the importance of that.
Mate, there's what I've taken out of most of this chat has been an underlying huge theme, which I've picked up on, which is really around the importance of, you know, community connection and being of service, which is, you know, coming from, you know, a guy who was, you know, performance sportsman, was doing well financially, he had his suits, and has
Mm.
evolved to realise that actually, no, it's not about me, it's about others, which is huge. And there's a lot of research that supports that. And so that's for me one of the biggest takeouts from this with you, which is actually reinforce that.
It's just funny, and I'm no better than anyone else, but I'm also definitely no worse than anyone else too. That's for sure. But I'll go to like a kid's birthday party with Ollie, and there'll be dads in their jackets with the leather sleeves and blah blah blah, and I'll be in a basketball shorts and a singlet, exactly the same gear that I wore when I was 16 years
I know
old.
that
And,
singlet.
yeah, and that's what I feel comfortable in. And then I'll be in there wrestling with the kids, on the swings, and that's just what makes me feel happy. And I'm not judging them, but it's just where I feel more at home, So yeah, I guess I had a point to prove that I belonged, that I could wear the fancy suits or whatever, but it's not me. It's just what makes myself happier is providing for the family of my team and my community. If I can do that, I don't need any more suits. I'm all good.
Do you even have any suits left? Are they
I can't fit in any of them.
Awesome, mate. We'll let you off. I mean, is there anything else that we've sort of missed? But one thing I wouldn't mind finishing on, maybe in terms of, how you're, are there any things in particular in terms of how you're bringing up your son, or any sort of key themes? Is it around that service piece for him that you're always sort of keep as a level of importance around?
Oh, yeah. What did I write about this? What am I? No, yeah. Look, I just think my kids will probably have more opportunities than I have, but it's how do you foster that hunger, So I think it is through a kind of stoic outlook that you provide them with the challenges and you support them, but they've got to overcome it themselves. I'm not going to let Ollie or Riley. They can be whatever they want to be. They can have whatever color, sex, partner they want, whatever. That's fine. I'm with them 100% of the way. But they just be the best version of themselves, whatever that is, and I'll be there for them. But they got to go out and earn it. I'm not going to give it to them.
Yeah, mate. I love it.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks so much for taking the time. That was a good chat. I really enjoyed it, and
Pleasure.
Got soul stuff out of it, man.
Okay, mate. I hope you're not too cold in your car then.
I'll put the heater back on now.
All right, mate. I'll chat to you soon. Thanks, mate. Bye.
Good night.